Have you ever stopped to imagine that some souls can carry centuries of experiences, lives, and learnings along their path? What if I told you that Emmanuel, the spirit who guided Chico Xavier for decades, didn't begin his spiritual mission only when he emerged into the physical world through psychographies, but that he had already lived no less than 20 reincarnations before this one? What you're about to discover now may surprise you, because each of these lives carries profound lessons, challenges faced, and choices that directly reflect the messages he conveys to us today. Stay with me until the end, because understanding Emmanuel's journey is also understanding how spiritual evolution works and how it can impact your life in ways you may never have imagined. For those unfamiliar, Emmanuel is considered one of the greatest spiritual figures within modern Spiritism. He was by Chico Xavier's side for much of his life, guiding his hands, thoughts, and words. The messages he conveyed were not just texts or guidance. They were fragments of wisdom acquired over countless lifetimes, shaped by experiences of love, overcoming, forgiveness, and learning. And it is precisely this immense wealth of knowledge that makes his messages so profound, so relevant, even in a world that seems increasingly lost and disconnected from essential spiritual values. Now, imagine for a moment, each of Emmanuel's reincarnations was not just a past life, but an opportunity to learn and contribute to the progress of humanity. In some of these lives, he experienced situations of suffering and injustice. In others, moments of great fulfillment and service to others. Each experience left its mark, insights, and teachings that are reflected in the messages he conveyed to Chico Xavier. It's fascinating to realize that what seems distant and intangible-like, the psychographed spiritual messages actually deeply connected to a story of entire lives, of choices, and of the soul's maturation. Have you ever wondered how many experiences you carry within you without even realizing it? How many lessons from the past shape your attitudes today? As we delve into the trajectory of Emmanuel's reincarnations, we begin to see not only the story of a sublime spirit, but also a mirror for our own journeys. Stay with me, because by learning about these lives, you will begin to perceive patterns, values, and principles that can transform the way you face challenges, relationships, and even the simplest everyday decisions. What makes this story even more compelling is the mystery and richness of detail surrounding each reincarnation. Some of these lives occurred during times of great historical transformation, others in seemingly ordinary contexts, but all carry universal lessons that remain relevant today. As you explore these narratives, you'll notice that Emmanuel's spirituality isn't something distant or abstract. It's connected to real issues, to human dilemmas we all face. And it's precisely this connection that makes his messages so powerful, capable of profoundly touching anyone, regardless of their experience with spiritualism. So can you sense the magnitude of it all? What you'll discover next isn't just a sequence of past lives, but a true lesson in soul evolution, purpose, and service to others. Each story, each reincarnation, reveals something that still resonates today in the way Emmanuel guides, advises, and inspires through Chico Xavier's psychographies. And that's why staying with me on this journey is essential. The next step will reveal impressive details of these 20 reincarnations. Stories that blend challenges, overcoming obstacles, and learning experiences that can change your perception of life and spirituality itself. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to traverse different eras, experience diverse cultures, assume completely different identities, and yet maintain the same life mission? This is precisely what makes the story of Emmanuel's reincarnations so fascinating. What you'll discover now may surprise you, because each life he lived brought profound lessons and challenges that shaped not only his own spiritual evolution, but also the legacy of messages he transmitted through Chico Xavier. Stay with me until the end, because these stories are not just curiosities about the past. They carry lessons that still apply to the world we live in today. Emmanuel, as many know, was the spirit who guided Chico Xavier on his mediumship journey, helping to convey messages of love, forgiveness, and understanding. But before becoming such an influential presence in 20th century Brazil, he had already lived countless lives, each filled with unique experiences, human dilemmas, and lessons that resonate to this day. Imagine a spirit who spanned centuries and continents, who faced adversity and, at the same time, experienced moments of fulfillment and contribution to the common good. These experiences form the basis of the wisdom Emmanuel shared and continue to inspire those seeking to understand the mysteries of life and spirituality. Some of these reincarnations are particularly remarkable. In certain lives, Emmanuel faced situations of great suffering and injustice, being tested in ways that required courage, patience, and compassion. In others, he had the opportunity to serve and positively influence the lives of many people, building paths of learning and spiritual evolution. Each existence left a mark, a memory that became a message, advice, or reflection, always guiding those seeking to understand life's greater purpose. Have you ever experienced moments when you felt tested in ways that seemed impossible? Emmanuel's experiences can help you see these moments in a new light, showing that even the most challenging situations hold valuable lessons. What makes these stories even more powerful is realizing how the past and present connect. The choices Emmanuel made in previous lives, the difficulties he faced, and the actions he took directly influenced how he guided Chico Xavier and, through him, millions of people. Each reincarnation represents a chapter of learning, a step in the soul's evolution. And understanding these trajectories allows you to see your own life more broadly, perceiving patterns, learning experiences, and opportunities for growth that might have previously gone unnoticed. And there's a mystery that makes all this even more intriguing. These aren't just ancient or distant stories, but lives that reflect dilemmas, feelings, and choices with which we can all identify. Love, forgiveness, responsibility, resilience, empathy, universal values that transcend time and space, and which Emmanuel experienced in each of his reincarnations. By learning about these narratives, you begin to realize that spirituality isn't something distant or abstract, but a living force connected to everyday life, capable of inspiring more conscious decisions and more compassionate attitudes. And then, as you delve into this universe, you'll begin to understand why Emmanuel's reincarnations are much more than historical curiosities. Each life, each lesson learned, each challenge faced has a purpose. And it is precisely this connection between past and present that makes his messages so impactful and applicable today. Stay with me, because the next step will reveal some of these lives in detail, showing not only what Emmanuel experienced, but also how these experiences can teach us to better manage our own journeys and choices, bringing profound reflections that touch the heart and mind. Have you ever stopped to think that the messages of a spirit who has traversed centuries of experiences can speak directly to your heart and transform the way you view life today? What you're about to discover may surprise you, because Emmanuel, the spirit who guided Chico Xavier for decades, not only imparted profound teachings about spirituality, but also left practical lessons about love, forgiveness, overcoming obstacles, and purpose, capable of touching anyone regardless of their background. Stay with me until the end, because these words are not just abstract reflections. They carry the power of entire lives, experiences that shaped your spiritual mission and can be directly reflected in your daily life. Emmanuel, recognized worldwide for his messages psychographed through Chico Xavier, has always sought to demonstrate that spirituality is not distant from the reality we live in, but deeply connected to our choices, emotions, and relationships. Each piece of advice, each reflection, carries the authority of someone who uniquely understood human challenges, facing dilemmas and learning from their own experiences across multiple reincarnations. Have you ever felt lost or directionless? Emmanuel's guidance has the power to illuminate these paths, offering clarity and advice that goes far beyond superficial reading. Emmanuel's messages invite us to reflect on essential aspects of life: how to deal with forgiveness in difficult situations, how to find purpose even in the face of obstacles, and how to cultivate true love, which manifests itself not only in feelings, but in daily actions. He reminds us that overcoming challenges is not just a matter of strength, but of a deep understanding of what motivates us, what limits us, and what we can transform in our own journey. By applying these teachings to today's world, we realize that they are not bound to a specific time or context. On the contrary, they come to life when we put into practice concepts that help improve our relationships, our emotional balance, and our connection to something greater. And the most incredible thing is realizing how each of Emmanuel's messages reflects real experiences from his reincarnations. Each lesson comes from experiences spanning different times, places, and challenges, making his words not just theoretical, but lived and tested. This creates a powerful emotional connection, because when you understand that someone who has faced so many trials and spiritual responsibilities shares these guidance, everything becomes closer, more human, and, at the same time, more inspiring. Can you sense how these lessons could transform the way you approach everyday situations that previously seemed hopeless? The impact of these messages is even stronger when we realize that they come to us through Chico Xavier, one of the greatest spiritual figures of the 20th century, whose life was dedicated to helping others and transmitting words of hope and faith. The combination of Emmanuel's wisdom and Chico Xavier's concrete practice creates a unique power, capable of awakening profound reflections and motivating significant changes in the lives of those who allow themselves to hear and apply these teachings. Stay with me, because now, as we explore these messages in more detail, you will discover how each piece of advice, reflection, and insight from Emmanuel can be applied to your life in a practical way, transforming not only your way of thinking, but also the way you feel and act in the world. Have you ever imagined what it would be like to traverse different eras, assume different identities, and still maintain the same life mission? What if I told you that Emmanuel, the spirit who guided Chico Xavier, lived no less than 20 reincarnations, each filled with experiences, challenges, and learning experiences that shaped not only his own evolution, but also the profound messages he conveyed to us throughout time? Stay with me until the end, because what you'll discover now could transform the way you see your own life and your purpose. Throughout his spiritual journey, Emmanuel lived through lives in completely different contexts, some in times of war and great change, others in periods of peace and quiet learning, some filled with personal challenges, others dedicated to serving and guiding other spirits. Each of these experiences left its mark, building a wisdom that, through Chico Xavier, continues to resonate today. But what makes these reincarnations so fascinating are not just the historical events or the places he lived, but the lessons each life brought, lessons that remain relevant regardless of time or space. And here's the most intriguing part. Not all of these reincarnations have been revealed in detail. Some remain shrouded in mystery, inviting us to reflect on what each life might have taught us and how these experiences influence the messages we receive today. Have you ever experienced situations where you felt a greater wisdom was guiding your choices? Emmanuel's stories remind us that every challenge, every encounter, and every decision are part of a continuous learning process that extends far beyond a single existence. Now, imagine if you could live 20 lives, each with the opportunity to learn something new, overcome obstacles, and transform the world around you. What would you choose to learn in each of them? Unconditional love, patience in the face of adversity, courage to face the unknown, forgiveness for those who have hurt you, or perhaps the ability to serve others without expecting anything in return. These are questions that make us reflect deeply on our own choices and how we can apply spiritual teachings in our daily lives. Emmanuel's reincarnations invite us to look at life more closely, to appreciate the small details, the opportunities for growth, and the lessons that emerge even in the most difficult moments. And the most impressive thing is realizing that, despite living such different lives, his mission remained clear: to spread messages of light, love, and spiritual evolution. This example inspires us to seek meaning in our own journeys, to see each experience as an opportunity for learning and transformation. Stay with me, because Emmanuel's story still holds secrets and curiosities that few know. There are lives of his that make us question, reflect, and even imagine what it would be like if we could traverse time with the same awareness and purpose. Every detail, every fragment of experience, is an opportunity to connect past, present, and future in a way that enriches our own journey. And it is precisely this connection between Emmanuel's lives and our current reflections that makes the subject so fascinating, keeping us attentive, curious, and ready to explore these stories further. So, are you ready to discover some of these reincarnations that remain shrouded in mystery? To reflect on the lessons they bring and to be inspired by each lesson that can transform your life? The next step will reveal fragments of these lives and, at the same time, raise questions that only you can answer about your own path, your purpose, and the choices that lie ahead. And as you follow these stories and reflect on Emmanuel's reincarnations and teachings, perhaps a memory, feeling, or even a question about your own journey is arising within you. If this topic resonates with you, leave a comment below with what touched you most or what learning you feel you can apply to your life today. Sharing your experience not only helps you process these reflections, but also creates a connection with others watching who, like you, are seeking to better understand spirituality and the purpose of their own choices. And if you feel these messages truly have value and can inspire positive changes in more people's lives, please take the opportunity to like the video. This simple gesture makes a huge difference, helping this content reach more people who also need guidance, inspiration, or simply a moment of deep reflection on life and the evolution of the soul. Your participation here is what makes this channel grow and continue to bring stories and teachings that can touch hearts and transform lives. Furthermore, if you want to continue following this type of content and not miss future episodes, subscribe to the channel. By subscribing, you ensure you'll receive new stories, reflections, and interesting facts that will further deepen your understanding of Emmanuel, his reincarnations, and the lessons each life offers us. More than that, becoming part of this community means being part of a space for learning, sharing, and connecting with people who share your interest in spirituality and personal growth. So, as you reflect on all this, thinking about your own experiences, the challenges you've faced, and the lessons life has taught you, take the opportunity to interact, leave a comment, like the video, and subscribe. Your every action strengthens this channel and keeps alive the mission of delivering messages that inspire, transform, and connect people, just as Emmanuel did throughout his countless lives. And now, with this involvement, we can continue this journey together, exploring even further the mysteries, lessons, and stories he left us, opening space for discoveries that can profoundly change the way you see the world. Have you ever stopped to imagine that some souls carry within them not just memories, but an entire history that spans centuries, cultures, and different experiences? Imagine that every decision made, every feeling felt, every challenge faced in a lifetime is not lost, but leaves an invisible trail that influences the spiritual growth of who we are and those around us. It is precisely this kind of trajectory that makes Emmanuel's story so fascinating. Did you know that Emmanuel, the spirit who guided Chico Xavier for decades, had already lived countless lives before this one? And this isn't just historical curiosity or spiritual tales. We're talking about profound lessons that span time, connecting past, present, and, in some way, your own life path. Emmanuel is not just a spirit who manifested through Chico Xavier's mediumship. He is an example of evolution, patience, and dedication to serving others. His presence in Chico Xavier's psychographies brought teachings that go far beyond what could be expected from written words or isolated spiritual messages. Each guidance, each reflection, carries the weight of entire lives. Experiences lived in flesh and spirit, and the depth of these messages continues to impact those who receive them to this day. By learning about Emmanuel's journey, we begin to understand that spirituality is not something distant, cold, or abstract, but a real guide that influences thoughts, choices, and even the way we perceive the world around us. What makes all this even more intriguing is thinking of the multiple reincarnations as chapters in a grand narrative that spans different eras and contexts. Emmanuel lived as an observer and protagonist in diverse settings, facing challenges ranging from personal conflicts and social injustices to moments of great service to humanity. Each life carried its own responsibilities and dilemmas, and yet throughout them all, there was a common thread: constant learning, the search for inner balance, and the practice of love as a tool for transformation. We might even ask ourselves, given so many examples, what our own choices would be like if we could access the accumulated wisdom of 20 lifetimes. The impact of these experiences transcends time and offers us unique insight into evolution, purpose, and the hidden truth that permeates our most complex decisions. And the most impressive thing is to realize how these reincarnations are not limited to ancient records or spiritual memories. They manifest themselves in practical and tangible ways through the messages Emmanuel passed on to Chico Xavier, allowing each of us to benefit from this legacy. Imagine a mentor who has traversed eras, experienced different mindsets and realities, has faced his own limitations, and yet manages to guide us clearly on life's most important paths. It is this authority built through real, repeated, and refined experiences that gives weight to the words that have reached us, transforming each piece of advice into a true catalyst for reflection and personal growth. Have you ever wondered how many learning opportunities you miss by not deeply reflecting on your choices, your emotions, and their consequences? Observing Emmanuel's journey, it's possible to see that each life, each challenge faced, each moment of pain or joy functioned as a kind of spiritual laboratory. There he tested, learned, transformed, and prepared himself to undertake a much greater mission, something that could only be understood with time, maturity, and awareness of one's own soul. Each message conveyed through Chico Xavier, therefore, is not just advice, but the result of a continuous process of evolution, filled with revelations that still resonate in the lives of millions of people today. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because the richness of this journey goes far beyond dates, names, and historical events. It's an invitation to look at one's own life from a new perspective, to understand that every difficulty, every decision, every interaction we have is a piece of a larger puzzle. An opportunity for transformation and learning that can shape not only our personal story but also impact those around us. By connecting these past experiences with the lessons Emmanuel left us, we begin to perceive patterns, principles, and hidden truths that help us live with greater awareness, compassion, and purpose. It's almost like having access behind the scenes of a spiritual journey, seeing firsthand how a soul prepares, transforms, and strengthens itself to fulfill its mission, and it is at this point that reflection becomes even more powerful. To consider that we, like Emmanuel, are also building our path, learning from each step, each challenge, each decision we make. The difference is that we often fail to realize the magnitude of our choices, and we fail to understand the impact our actions can have, not only on our own evolution, but also on the journeys of others who cross our path. Every act of kindness, every act of forgiveness, every moment we choose to act with awareness and courage are small fragments that, together, build a life full of meaning. As we delve into this universe, we begin to see that Emmanuel's example is much more than inspiration. It's a map, a guide that shows us how to transform challenging experiences into opportunities for growth, how to develop a resilient mindset, and how to understand that the evolution of the soul requires dedication, patience, and perception of truths that aren't always obvious at first glance. And as we contemplate all of this, it's impossible not to feel a direct connection to our own lives, questioning what decisions we could make differently, what attitudes could bring more balance, and what lessons we're still overlooking now. With all this reflection, I want you to participate in a special way. Comment below, "I'm on this journey too." If these ideas resonated with you, and if you feel that there is something in your own journey that connects with Emmanuel's experience, now, I want to delve even deeper into this topic, because the stories of Emmanuel's reincarnations go far beyond simple accounts or spiritual curiosities. They carry layers of learning, transformation, and reflections that can illuminate our own journey. When we look at each of these lives, we realize that it wasn't just about existing, but about intensely experiencing each moment, absorbing the lessons implicit in each challenge, and, above all, refining the consciousness and mindset of who he was as a spirit. Think of each life as a spiritual laboratory, a space where choices, actions, and even mistakes were transformed into lessons that would be applied later, connecting past, present, and future in a subtle yet powerful way. Some of Emmanuel's best-known reincarnations demonstrate this clearly. There were lives in which he assumed leadership roles. During periods of great social transformation, learning responsibility, ethics, and justice. At other times, he lived in more humble contexts, living among ordinary people, facing limitations, suffering and loss, learning patience, empathy, and humility. Each experience, however different it seemed, was intended to strengthen his spirit and prepare the ground for a much greater mission, to convey messages that could guide and transform others. It is remarkable to realize that the challenges he faced, which at times might have seemed insurmountable, were actually opportunities for growth and the development of essential skills to fulfill his greater purpose. The impact of these reincarnations lies not only in what Emmanuel experienced, but in how these experiences shape the depth of his spiritual messages. Every choice made, every obstacle overcome, and every relationship fostered a broader vision of life and human behavior, allowing his guidance to be not only theoretical, but incredibly practical and applicable. When we read or listen to his messages through Chico Xavier, we are, in fact, receiving the reflection of lifetimes of learning condensed into simple yet meaningful words. It's like gaining access to the behind-the-scenes of a soul who, despite spanning centuries, managed to synthesize wisdom, compassion, and insights in a way that deeply touches anyone willing to listen. And as we analyze these reincarnations, we begin to notice fascinating patterns. Emmanuel, regardless of the time or context, was always surrounded by situations that required conscious choices and the courage to face moral dilemmas. He experienced the impact of impulsive decisions, knew the transformation that arises from perseverance and self-control, and learned often in the most challenging way that every action has a consequence that reverberates beyond the visible. There are hidden truths in these stories that remind us that our own lives, even in seemingly mundane moments, are full of opportunities for learning and evolution. With each reflection, we realize how spirituality is not a distant concept, but something alive, manifesting itself in every attitude, every thought, and every decision we make. Imagine, for example, a reincarnation in which Emmanuel had to deal with severe injustices and unexpected losses. Through these experiences, he developed resilience and a deeper understanding of suffering and compassion. In another existence, he found himself in the position of mentor or guide, exercising leadership and assisting people at decisive moments in their lives. Each experience, even when challenging, was a meticulous preparation for later guiding millions of people through the psychographed messages. It is fascinating to see how the evolution of his soul did not occur linearly. It was built through decisions, trials, and discoveries that, together, created a solid foundation for the spiritual authority he holds to this day. Now, as we reflect on these journeys, we begin to realize how relevant these stories are to our daily lives. Love, forgiveness, patience, responsibility, courage, empathies aren't just abstract concepts or pretty words, but values that Emmanuel embodied in each life and shows us how we can apply them to our own journey. His experience invites us to reflect on the choices we make, how we face difficulties, and the impact our attitudes have on those around us. It's almost like a mirror that forces us to observe our own lives, to question our decisions, and to seek ways to transform each experience into learning and growth. By following this line of thought, we begin to realize that the true richness of these reincarnations lies in their ability to teach, illuminate paths, and offer us tools to face our own challenges. Emmanuel shows us that spiritual evolution is a continuous journey, full of ups and downs, but that each obstacle overcome, each conscious decision, and each moment of reflection contributes to shaping not only who we are, but who we can become. There is something deeply human and at the same time transcendent in this story, which connects us with the idea that we all have the opportunity to learn, transform, and positively impact the world around us. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because when we look at these lives and the teachings that emerge from them, we begin to uncover a series of revelations that go far beyond what we normally consider spirituality. We're talking about hidden truths, patterns of behavior, mindsets, and decisions that shape not only the soul, but the very experience of life. It's at this point that we realize how every detail of Emmanuel's reincarnations, from small actions to major challenges, offers insights into personal transformation, how to overcome adversity, and the impact our attitudes can have on other people's journeys. It's a unique opportunity to see spirituality in a practical way, connecting teachings with experiences that truly matter and make a difference in the way we live today. And as we reflect on all this, we realize that it's not just about learning about the journey of an extraordinary spirit, but about looking at our own lives with greater attention, awareness, and responsibility. Each reincarnation of Emmanuel teaches us that growth, learning, and evolution are not consequences of luck or chance, but the fruits of conscious decisions, continuous effort, and the courage to face our own limitations. It's a powerful lesson that encourages us to develop a resilient mindset, to value our experiences, and to understand that, even in the face of difficulties, each step taken with intention and reflection contributes to our own transformation. And as we delve deeper into this story, we also begin to realize how the impact of these reincarnations extends beyond Emmanuel's own life, reaching all those who have the opportunity to connect with his teachings. Each of his experiences serves as a reflection, showing that the path of evolution is long, full of discoveries and behind-the-scenes moments that we rarely perceive, but which shape our view of ourselves and the world. The richness of these accounts lies not only in what happened, but in how we can apply these lessons to improve our decisions, cultivate more conscious relationships, and live with purpose. Now, as you think about all this, I invite you to reflect on your own journey. What lessons have you already learned? What decisions have shaped your life so far? And most importantly, what hidden truths are still waiting to be discovered within you? Comment. That makes sense to me. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because as we analyze Emmanuel's messages and teachings, we realize that we are dealing with something far beyond written words. We are dealing with a source of wisdom that has spanned centuries and was consolidated through the psychographies of Chico Xavier, someone recognized worldwide for his ability to convey spirituality in a clear, sensitive, and practical way. The impact of these messages goes far beyond the concept of faith or belief. They are tools of transformation, inviting us to rethink our decisions, develop a more conscious mindset, and see each challenge as an opportunity for personal and collective growth. When we delve into Emmanuel's words, we realize that he wasn't just speaking about spirituality in an abstract sense, but about universal themes that directly touch everyone's life: love, forgiveness, overcoming obstacles, purpose, and, above all, responsibility for one's own choices. If we stop to reflect, how often do we encounter situations where it would be easier to blame others or the circumstances, rather than taking responsibility for our actions? Emmanuel reminds us that true learning lies precisely in facing difficulties with courage, patience, and discernment. He teaches us that forgiveness is not just an act of generosity toward others, but a form of inner liberation, a path to overcoming hurt and transforming pain into strength. By applying these teachings to our daily lives, we begin to realize that every action, no matter how small, has the power to generate a significant impact on our relationships, our mindset, and the way we perceive the world around us. Love, according to Emmanuel, is not just a feeling, but a daily practice, a conscious choice that manifests itself in words, gestures, and actions. He invites us to practice empathy, to see others with understanding, and to recognize that compassion is not just an abstract concept, but a real force capable of transforming lives. When we reflect on these ideas, it's impossible not to think about how many opportunities we miss to act with kindness, to offer support, or to choose patience in conflict situations. Emmanuel's messages challenge us to go beyond the superficial, to look within and perceive where we can evolve, where we can adjust our mindset, and where we can act with more awareness and purpose. Overcoming obstacles is another central theme in his teachings. He shows us that obstacles don't exist to stop us, but to strengthen us, to teach us how to deal with limitations and discover inner resources we often didn't even know we possessed. Emmanuel reminds us that every difficulty is an opportunity for transformation. That every challenge faced with courage and reflection builds the foundation for a more balanced, fulfilling, and meaningful life. And it is precisely this vision that makes his messages so applicable to today's world, where so many people face pressure, insecurity, and uncertainty. When we understand that spiritual evolution is deeply connected to how we deal with these situations, we begin to realize that we are, in fact, participating in a continuous journey of learning and personal improvement. Purpose, according to Emmanuel, is the compass that guides our actions, our choices, and even our relationships. He invites us to reflect on what truly matters, what our true goals are. It's how we can align our attitudes with values that promote growth and harmony. In a world filled with distractions, external pressures, and seemingly trivial decisions, understanding and following a purpose is essential to maintaining consistency, integrity, and clarity in our actions. And this is where Emmanuel's authority, consolidated by the life and work of Chico Xavier, becomes even more relevant. We are faced with teachings that not only inspire, but also provide a practical framework for transforming concepts into concrete and consistent behaviors. Furthermore, these messages offer us profound reflections on individual and collective responsibility. Emmanuel reminds us that every choice we make, every decision we make, has repercussions not only on our own lives, but also on the lives of those around us. This vision expands our awareness, leading us to consider the real impact of our actions and to act with greater attention, empathy, and intention. Every gesture, every word, and every conscious decision becomes an opportunity for growth, learning, and positive contribution, creating a chain of effects that extends far beyond what we can perceive at the moment. By connecting these reflections with the experiences of Emmanuel's multiple reincarnations, we begin to understand how each lesson was built over time, honed by challenges, experiences, and decisions that required courage, discernment, and humility. This journey inspires us to adopt a more resilient mindset, to value continuous learning processes, and to understand that true transformation does not occur instantly, but is the result of conscious choices, constant practice, and dedication to inner growth. Now I want to delve even deeper into this topic, because the richness of Emmanuel's messages goes far beyond what we read or hear superficially. When we begin to connect his guidance with our own life experiences, our decisions, and the challenges we face, we realize there's a hidden truth in each piece of advice, a revelation that can directly impact the way we act, think, and feel. It's like opening the curtain on a spiritual journey that spans lives and centuries, allowing us to access insights about love, forgiveness, overcoming, and purpose in a practical, tangible, and applicable way. Each reflection, each teaching, invites us to review behavioral patterns, question automatic decisions, and seek a deeper alignment between our intentions and actions. Emmanuel inspires us to develop a broader consciousness, realizing that personal transformation is not a distant goal, but something that can begin at any moment, even in the most challenging circumstances. And as we connect with these ideas, we begin to understand the true impact of our choices, the power of conscious thinking, and the power that each intentional gesture can exert on our lives and the lives of those around us. Reflecting on these messages leads us to realize that we are not alone on our journeys. Each teaching from Emmanuel, each word conveyed by Chico Xavier, acts as a silent guide, a guidance that helps us find balance, clarity, and purpose. Even when everything seems uncertain or confusing, by internalizing these lessons, we begin to see our experiences in a new light, understanding that every challenge, every conflict, every decision is, in fact, an opportunity for growth and transformation. And by bringing these reflections to today's world, we begin to realize that Emmanuel's guidance is not only relevant, but essential. Love, forgiveness, resilience, and purpose are not abstract concepts. They are powerful tools for dealing with everyday challenges, building healthier relationships, developing a resilient mindset, and creating a positive impact on our lives and the lives of those around us. Now, as you absorb all of this, I invite you to write in the comments, "I'm on this journey too." Now, I want to delve even deeper into this topic because as we explore the final curiosities about Emmanuel's reincarnations, we realize that we are faced with a universe full of mysteries, hidden truths, and revelations that still provoke questions about the very nature of the soul and the purpose of each existence. It's fascinating to think that throughout his 20 lives, Emmanuel went through such diverse experiences that, even today, we can feel their impact in the messages he left us through Chico Xavier. Each identity assumed, each era traversed, and each challenge faced were essential chapters in a much larger story, a journey that connects past, present, and future possibilities of learning and transformation. Some of these reincarnations are well known. Others remain shrouded in mystery, almost like fragments of a puzzle yet to be completed. He lived among different cultures, faced wars and periods of peace, assumed leadership roles, and moments of profound humility. Each experience carried specific challenges, complex decisions, and the need to develop skills that could only be acquired through direct experience. And it is precisely this diversity of contexts that makes his journey so rich and nuanced. It shows us that the evolution of the soul does not occur linearly, but rather through a series of experiences, each with its own impact, revelations, and opportunities for transformation. As we reflect on these reincarnations, an inevitable question arises. If you could live 20 lives, what lessons would you choose to learn in each one? Love, patience, courage, resilience, empathy, or perhaps skills that go beyond immediate comprehension, that challenge us to expand our vision of ourselves and the world. Each of Emmanuel's lives offers us subtle clues that spiritual growth is a gradual process, made up of complex experiences, conscious decisions, and moments when we must confront our own shadows to achieve a broader understanding of existence. It is an invitation to look at our own lives more closely, realizing that every obstacle, every choice, and every emotion carries within it an opportunity for learning and evolution. The most impressive thing is that, even with such a diversity of experiences, there is an invisible coherence, a common thread that runs through all of Emmanuel's reincarnations and teaches us something fundamental. True transformation requires practice, reflection, and a willingness to understand hidden truths that are not always evident. Each life represents an opportunity to refine one's soul, to practice virtues, and to understand in practice. How simple attitudes can have a profound impact both on oneself and on others. It's as if we were watching behind the scenes of a spiritual journey, where each episode is carefully planned to maximize learning, evolution, and impact. Some of these experiences seem to come straight out of a storybook or epic narrative, while others are almost imperceptible, living in the small details of everyday life, but they all carry a purpose, to reveal aspects of existence that often go unnoticed. Emmanuel faced painful losses, experienced moments of great joy, developed the courage to overcome challenges, and practiced love in diverse contexts, teaching that true strength lies not in the absence of difficulties, but in the ability to transform each experience into meaningful learning. This insight leads us to reflect on the value of each day, each decision, and each interaction we have with the world around us. And it is precisely this mystery that makes their reincarnations even more intriguing. Not all are completely known. Some remain as fragments, like clues to a larger enigma, inviting us to imagine, question, and explore the possibilities of what is yet to come. It is an exercise in reflection, challenging us to consider the depth of the soul, the impact of our choices, and the importance of living with awareness, responsibility, and purpose. The more we connect with these stories, the more we realize that they are not just historical or spiritual curiosities. but subtle maps of how we can apply valuable lessons to our own lives. As we consider this universe of experiences, we begin to realize that Emmanuel's journey is not isolated. It connects with the experiences of each of us. He shows us that, regardless of the life we live, we have the opportunity to learn, transform, evolve, and positively impact the world around us. Each reincarnation, each decision, and each lesson are reminders that our lives also carry untapped potential, opportunities for growth, and paths of evolution that are still waiting to be discovered. And as we reflect on all this, our minds naturally fill with questions. How many lifetimes would it take to fully understand the meaning of love, patience, and compassion? What choices could transform our personal and collective journey? How do our daily decisions connect with greater truths we can't yet see? It's an invitation to think, feel, and imagine possibilities that expand consciousness and foster a mindset of continuous learning, openness, and evolution. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this topic, exploring how these seemingly distinct reincarnations and experiences are interconnected, revealing patterns and insights that can be applied to our own journey. Each fragment of Emmanuel's life is an opportunity to understand the impact of our choices, to perceive the importance of each gesture, each word, and each conscious decision, and to recognize that evolution is not linear, but built through experiences, reflections, and consistent actions. And as we delve deeper into this universe, we begin to realize that these stories are more than spiritual tales. They are invitations to introspection, transformation, and connection with something greater. They challenge us to reflect on how we live, how we learn, how we can act with greater awareness, love, and purpose in our daily lives. It's a journey of discovery, where every detail matters, and each reflection opens new doors to understanding ourselves and the world. Comment there. Makes sense to me. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for following each reflection, each story, and each lesson. It's been an intense journey, and your presence makes all the difference. Because it's precisely with people who truly connect that these messages come to life and continue to spread. If you felt that something in this video touched your heart or sparked an important reflection, subscribe to the channel to continue exploring this universe, because we have much more content that will deepen these ideas and bring new perspectives on spirituality, evolution, and purpose. And if you want to show that you watched until the end, comment below, "I'm with you until the end." It will be incredible to see that we're on this journey together, building this space for reflection and learning. Also, please leave a like, because it helps strengthen this connection and shows that this type of content is valuable for people seeking to grow, reflect, and transform their lives. There's a video here that delves deeper into this topic, with other stories and revelations you'll love to discover. Click through and stay with me there, because the journey isn't over yet. And what follows promises to bring new discoveries, inspirations, and insights that can make a difference in your life today.